Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What's today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this, sixth day of March here, getting pretty close to the big conference time. I know the smaller conference in the NCAA will be playing this week, and I know the bigger conferences will be playing next weekend. But today, a lot more football. Joey Bosa is going to be released from the Chargers. Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals, 17.5 sacks, could not come up with the deal. He'll be released as well. A lot to go about there. The Mad New Yorker is supposed to be here shortly. I'm sure he'll come up sometime after the break. We'll talk about that. Go over some of the stories I went over with him yesterday. Bill Belichick rejecting Hard Knocks. Jimmy Johnson retired from Fox. And I may even throw in a Stephen A. Smith question to him. $100 million deal there. 5 years, $100 million for Stephen A. Smith to stay with ESPN. But let's take our first and only break. We'll be back here shortly. We'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler.
Sorry about that. Let me bring in the Mad New Yorker here. The crowd loves you, man. The crowd loves you.
What up? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday.
Happy freaking Thursday there, Chief. You seen that last post I sent you? Joey Bosa is going to be released by the Chargers. And also want to add in Trey Hendrickson will be released by the Cincinnati Bengals. Which one do you think would be the bigger loss off the top of your head?
The Bengals, Henderson being cut. But he's retiring, right? So
No. He's seeking a new deal. Both of these guys are seeking. I tell you what, you're right about Bosa. I mean,
yeah,
his numbers don't bear it out, and he's hurt a lot.
Yeah, he's averaged about only 7 to 8 games a year. So
yeah,
it's not that he's not good when he's playing. Is it that he's just not on the field a lot? So I mean, and that's money that the Chargers want to use elsewhere, and put, just take care of that. This last few days have been all business moves by all these teams.
Yeah.
None
Are
of
you
these moves.
surprised by how many players have been released or expected to be released so far?
I wouldn't be. I'm not too surprised. I'm thinking like if we go down the list, we'll start with Darnold. You know, because we talked about it that we thought he would get tagged. He didn't get tagged, and then
Do you think they're going to let him walk, or you think they're working on a long-term deal? There are some reports about a long-term deal.
Yeah, because you can't go into a season with two guys that just are not in
March 6th, Miss Jane.
You know, like you haven't, you're not. They haven't two quarterbacks that haven't played that well, and like you don't know what you're going to get from JJ McCarthy because he's never thrown a pass in an NFL season, and then you know what you get from Daniel Jones, and you could be a quarterback whisperer, and yeah, he took the Giants to a playoff, but you know what you're going to get from Daniel Jones. He can win you maybe 4 games, 5 games if he had to. He's not going to carry the team for a full season. So, you know, and I'm not trying to, you know, be negative about him, but seeing him in New York and seeing what his capabilities, he just didn't fit a lot of the situation that was going on here anyway. So maybe in Minnesota he wins 9 games, maybe if they have a good defense as well. So, So not knowing what your QB situation is as far as consistency and being able and dependability, you're gonna go with the guy who won you 14. He got them 12 games last year.
I think so. Yeah, 14-3.
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so he's 14-game winning quarterback.
Would you sign him like a 5-year deal? What kind of deal do you think they're working on for him?
I would give him 2 years and about at the bare minimum, maybe 15 to 20. You can't go up too high on, you know. The problem was that they were going to franchise tag him and he was going to get more than 25.
Well, that would be like 40 something now.
Right. So you don't want to, you know, I don't
think they'll give him that. If they give him that kind of money, that's a really good deal for Minnesota. $20 million, that'd be good.
Yeah, and then like you know, I think that's on the high end, but then they get the compensatory
pick.
The compensatory pick, the 3rd round. So because he didn't tag him, so it's all money. It's all structure money, trying to, you know, figure out their cap situation. You know, it's a team that needs to be picking up a few more defensive players, right? So. And I don't honestly believe the way that the Vikings have played and have signed players, especially at the quarterback position, that they're just going to sit still there with those 2 guys being the 2 options to go and try to win a Super Bowl. I don't think that's – and if they go that route, they're still going to have to keep the coach and pay him well because he's the only reason that they're winning, I guess, right?
Yeah, he's – you know, O'Donnell there.
His system's working.
A really good coach, man. I don't know if I would have done this, but I got a feeling that, you know, they're a little shaky. The one thing about McCartney, I know he had some rave reviews before his injury, but this guy, I mean, he didn't throw that much in college at all.
No, he didn't have.
And then Darnold had a great regular season there with Minnesota. You know?
Yeah. No. You
can make an argument McCartney might have been a reach in the 1st round from the get-go.
Yeah, I think they just wanted a kid that was tall, you know, that was a football player or a QB-looking guy, because McCarthy is a bigger guy. He stands a little taller. He never has been a guy that you're correct. They didn't talk about his arm, and you can't be on a team with 2 of the best wide receivers tandem and be like, we can't get you the ball.
Well, Michigan was a heavy run team. I think he's got a good arm. I think he's a good athlete, but they just didn't use it. They felt like they wanted to be a physical run first, you know, type of team. But Russell Wilson was like that in Wisconsin. And I was for sure he wasn't going to make it. But he was taken in the third round, maybe where McCartney should have been taken. And we know what happened. He beat out the guy. So it's interesting to see that. Minnesota may be overthinking this thing, on second. I'm like you, though, going back to what you said about those years. Yeah, 2 years. If you do 2 years, you may get a lesser cap hit. And so you can add defensive pieces and maybe add to that team. That's probably what they're thinking. If they give him a 5-year Baker Mayfield deal, that tells us that they already think that Darnold's way better than McCarthy, and McCarthy's not going to reach that. Don't you think?
Yeah, and then for that, they just wasted a pick because
maybe you trade him. I don't know, but what's the value then?
That's
if
exactly
you trade him that quickly.
That's correct. So, and we all see that it's one of those things. It's a process to get back in the league when you have that type of injury. This guy is going to be coming back at the featured position for that injury.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, man. I don't care who the surgeon was and what your PT schedule looked like. That's not an easy. And he hasn't played in the NFL yet.
Well, hasn't took a regular season snap.
I mean, he's not JT. He didn't whoa everybody in Michigan like JT Daniels was like,
Oh yeah, 54 touchdowns that last year.
Come on. I don't know. I just think that it was a far reach because everybody saw what was coming out of Houston when they picked up their quarterback, and he was like, and he did well for the first year. So again, mind you, these quarterbacks coming in that are doing well, their defenses are providing opportunities for them to do well as well. Their defense.
Yes, let's go back to that. We got a little bit off track here. So the news today is Bosa got released.
Yep.
The Chargers, I just read this earlier. They saved $25.36 million by releasing a guy who's played 8 and 9 games the last few years.
Yeah, it was like about $11 million this season.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money that you can use.
Right.
DK Metcalf has requested a trade. I think they're going to trade him. I do think they're going to, even though they let Tyler Lockett go yesterday. He's going to be released as well.
Right, he was
from Seattle. Do you think that would be a good, wise move to get DK Metcalf to the LA Chargers? That's been rumblings. What's your thoughts about that? Putting him with Justin Herbert.
If I'm Metcalf's people, I'm not going anywhere where I don't have an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. I'm just not. If Metcalf goes anywhere, if I'm Metcalf, I'm like, bro, if you don't make me a Kansas City Chief tomorrow, don't bring me no other offers, bro. Don't bring me no. I can't be a high elite player and just keep going to a Pro Bowl and not being able to reach a Super Bowl. Like I wouldn't. I mean, I know it sounds selfish.
I mean, you think the Chiefs can find a way to pay him?
If I'm the Chiefs, they better find a way to get this guy.
He's 27 years
No
old.
matter how old, my man. Remember,
he's right in his prime. He's going to want a chunk of money, probably.
If you're the Chiefs, you're not going to give a guy like Metcalf. This guy ran back and caught a cornerback who intercepted the ball. He's got speed. He can burn people left and right. Like he's in the division now. They'd be able to.
I don't think they would want him. I mean, they got Rashid Rice.
Mahomes wants DK Metcalf. Is that what you're telling me?
If there's not a salary cap in the league, of course they would go out and get him, but not when you've got Rice and Worthy coming back.
Yeah, but
they just let Joe Tooney go. They've got to solidify that offensive line with the tackle and the guard.
If you got Metcalf, you could just throw the ball up. Then you don't have to worry about a line.
Oh man, your quarterback would get destroyed and be hurt.
Think about this. He made a decent quarterback look almost like an all-star quarterback.
Okay, that brings another point here.
Right?
Remember what I'm always talking about? Receivers do not make the quarterback. Here's a prime example. They're valuable, but they're overvalued right now. DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's breaking out. That's why Seattle's moving on.
Right.
Tyler Lockett, one of the better slot receivers out there, on the same team, above average defense, still couldn't get to the playoffs with Geno Smith. That's why Metcalf wants out. You know,
because
what are your thoughts about that narrative that these receivers are simply overvalued? Are the numbers going to start to come down a little bit?
Yeah, I mean,
in your opinion,
I feel like those three guys did their job with who the quarterback was. They got a decent quarterback who looked like a superstar when he had a little bit more protection and an okay running back. Now they switched over running backs. They didn't have a running game. All he could do was throw the ball, right? And
Kenneth Walker was good. What are you talking about?
Okay. How many yards did Walker get?
I mean, we can cross-reference that.
The problem was that he didn't have good protection. He was more on his back than he was on his feet
because he was hanging on the ball too much.
Listen, when I saw Seattle play this year, it wasn't the same as seeing them play, or this past year, it wasn't the same as seeing them 2 seasons ago. So, you know, it's just on the eye test, it didn't seem like things were clicking. So, but to that point, those three wide receivers, the 2 wide receivers being let go by Seattle, are going to find a new home for sure.
Especially, Metcalf is going to get traded. Somebody's going to pay him a lot of money. You know, would you pay a guy like Metcalf that kind of money, or would you sign a Davante Adams without having to give up a player? Adams going to get released too,
right?
Would you sign him for 1 year?
The problem
with a contender.
The problem with Adams is that he's older than Metcalf. That's the problem with Adams.
Yeah, he's 32.
Right. He's got more.
When you pay him like 18 to 20 for 1 year, or probably 18 maybe for 1 year versus maybe up to 30 for Metcalf.
All I know is this: any team wanting to get
30
Adams,
per year for Metcalf.
Yeah, any team wanting to get Adams is lucky. Is not going to go for the higher bid because of what he wasn't able to accomplish much for the Jets last year. And that's going to be one of those things like, well, you're getting older. You didn't do that well on the Jets. So that's a point that they can argue. But for Metcalf, he's younger and he's going to
27. Yeah.
He's going to require a little bit more. Right. So
a lot more. That's my point.
If I'm the Chiefs right now, I'm trying to get 2 of these guys. I'd get Kirk and I'd get Metcalf, and that's a Super Bowl. I don't care what anybody says. They're saying, by the way, Christian Kirk was traded today at the last minute to was he traded or released?
To a divisional rival. They're going to be – nobody can technically be cut today because we're not in the new year yet. Right. The new year starts Tuesday, I want to say, or Wednesday morning, and he's to be released. So Houston's reached out. Now they've traded to Houston for a 7th-round pick.
Ooh.
Another guy – gave a lot of money, only 28, and he's coming back from a collarbone. But that just goes to show you these salaries for receivers don't always equate to wins.
No.
And I think you don't really see other positions that are really good on the defensive line and offensive line players that are productive under 30 years old being released or moved off of at this point in their career. It's just those receivers. It's like a receiver bubble, you know?
Right. And the problem, again, it's going back to these quarterbacks and not being able to make use of the talent they had. You know, look, if I'm Kansas City, I'm looking at my chops right now, and I'm like, I'm going out there and I'm making calls left and right because you got to give.
I don't know why they gave up Tooney, man. I know they franchise. They're going to give Trey Smith a lot of money, apparently. So
you got to. He's
a lot younger player, you know.
You got to get a guy like Adams or a guy like you got to give him a DJ Metcalf. You got to give him somebody that he could throw the ball up to, and now just get at it. I mean, you can't be with these small guys. The speed small guys, they're cute. It's fun. They're fast. But Mahomes needs to be able just to throw the ball up again. Like
he might be able to get Adams. They might be able to get Adams for a team discount, a friendly team friendly deal because he's thinking Super Bowl with Mahomes. But we'll see what happens, man. You know, Adams made a lot of money. He's made 2 big contracts. I want to say he's on his 3rd, or this will be his 4th contract. So that 2nd and that 3rd one with Green Bay, going into Vegas that money, a lot of that money was guaranteed.
Yeah, the Vegas money.
So he's in good shape financially.
Yeah. And the news about Bosa, my heart didn't hurt for the Chargers, and now they're people are like, well, he could go play with his brother. I don't think San Francisco is willing to put a bid on him, knowing that if both the brothers are hanging out on the sideline 5 or 6 games, that's way too much for what they're getting paid. And it's not. I'm not trying to say they're not.
Bosa may go the route where he's just simply wanting to get a ring at this point. He's missed a lot of games, man. A lot of games.
Both of them. I mean, I don't know.
Well, they have a very physical style. Yeah. Now, Nick is not as bad as Joey, but Joey.
But they came out of college with injuries.
That's why I really didn't want Tennessee to draft. Remember, Tennessee was sought to possibly take him with the 1 pick.
Yeah,
Joey Bosa. Bosa's a year. He's 30, but I was looking at his stats here, man. I mean, this dude only started in 9 games last year. The year before that, he started in 5. Now, he played in 14, but he didn't start. That tells me that he's been injured. He's been so injured. He's getting paid like a starter. He's a year younger than Trey Hickerson. Somebody's going to – that's who I'd go after if I'm San Francisco. 17.5 sacks 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And Cincinnati lets him walk because they want to pay T. Higgins. I mean, what –
we
do you
talked.
think Cincinnati's going to look the same as they did last year?
Yeah, we've been talking about T. Higgins, and I'm glad you brought that up. And I feel like that's a money move for them to try.
That's all money move. They only save about $9 million.
Yeah, they're trying to save money, but I feel, and don't give me, maybe this is a hot take, I feel they'll trade him.
Somebody offer him some capital before they can technically release him.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be trade bait because, to be honest with you, man, he's a number 1. He's a number 1 receiver. He gives
edge rusher.
T. Higgins.
Oh, Higgins, yes. Yeah. Oh, you're saying they're going to trade Higgins?
Yeah, I think he's trade bait, and I say that because he's got so much value, and Cincinnati needs. They need a lot of help, man. They need to balance that defense out. They need a running back. So if I'm Cincinnati, and I know this is a problem though. This is the conflict, is that they promise Joe Burrow the world, and that if they get rid of Higgins, because that's a safety net for him, because Chase isn't always open, he's doubled. He's probably gonna go back on his word and be like,
do you think they're going to trade Higgins? Got franchised for $26 million.
Yeah.
That is a direct hit too on their cap. They're going to either sign. I think they'll sign him. Remember I told you before. I said this old man should have never even drafted Jamar Chase. I know that it sounds like a bad take because Chase is all world.
Right.
I think they should have took Penei Sewell and kept Higgins and Boyd. But this guy wants to sell tickets. He don't want to win a Super Bowl.
The problem is that they promise Joe Burrow the world, and they can't make their money function like that, man. And they don't know how to do those things. And I tell you what, if I'm Joe Burrow and T. Higgins isn't signed, he's not my number 2. I'm not coming back to that team, man.
So you're wanting them to sign Higgins and not. They've already I thought by this move tells me they're going to sign Higgins.
No, this move I feel like they're plotting to try to get as much as they can, because this is Cincinnati, man. This isn't the Dallas Cowboys. This isn't the Washington Commanders. This isn't the Eagles.
So who do they sign with that extra money then?
You can make a lot. They can get a lot for Higgins, bro. They can get a lot for him.
Nah, I mean, it would be the wise move to do that.
Robert, look, you're talking about a kid that is an actual number one receiver. He's not a number two.
See, people don't think he's a one, but we saw how he played when Chase got hurt.
The only reason he's not a one is because he played with Jamar Chase. That's the only reason. You could throw the ball up to him and he's going to get it.
I do think he's a one.
Yeah, so
because I saw he played when Chase was injured, and he played well.
In fact, the only people that don't want to call him a number one are the people that don't want to pay him number one wide receiver money. Those are the only people calling him. They're not calling him a number one. If this guy should have got signed already. If he misses, if they're trying to sign him and he misses 3 weeks of the regular 3 games of the regular season, man, you're gonna make Burrow mad, man. The situation in Cincinnati is not as good as it looks. And I
think they'll sign him. And it's unfortunate, but they will. They're going to sign him.
No, I don't think it's
so. We'll see what happens. I'll clip it.
Yeah, and
we'll play who's right and who's wrong.
And here's nothing. And I mentioned this before. The 2 quarterbacks that are probably the best quarterbacks right now, and they're about to hit their prime in the next 2 seasons, are Allen and Burrow, and they're in the 2 smallest divisions and teams that spend the least money during the offseason. So if I'm Burrow, if I'm Allen, and I don't get what I need, I'm out. But Allen already said he don't want to go nowhere. He pulled a Jim Kelly and was like, "I love Buffalo. They're the only one that care to pick me." He said he's gonna carry that cross, and he ain't never gonna get in the Super Bowl win. He'll get
now. They need Myles Garrett on that team.
They'll get to maybe a playoff in the Super Bowl, but they're not gonna win. And then the Cincinnati team, they might get into a playoff. They might make another Super Bowl run, but they ain't gonna win. Like, the market is too small, man. You need to be able to pay players on both ends of the field, not just one guy, which is a quarterback.
If I'm Buffalo, I try to sign Trey Henderson, and I try to call Tennessee and get Jeffrey Simmons. I think if you did that, I think they could very well be in the Super Bowl hunt. By the way, Nick Bolton will be a free agent too at linebacker. Those 3 players would get Buffalo in the Super Bowl. That's a big if.
Yeah, but Buffalo don't got 3-player money, bro. That's the problem. Buffalo don't, or they don't want to spend it. So it's one or the other.
Well, they did spend it on Von Miller, but he was a year too late. The Rams got the best out of Von Miller.
This one
that was left in the tank.
That's another. You're only adding to my arguments. Like, these teams make these moves when too little, too late, and they overspend, and then they get handcuffed, bro. So.
They got him at 33, and I wouldn't have took a defensive end at 33. Now, at 29, I still think that people's going to go after teams are going to make a run at Garrett. Myles Garrett says he does not want to play for the Browns no more. Abdul Carter's out there. I don't know, man. Stay tuned for that. I do think that somebody's going to make a run at Garrett, and he still could get traded, even though the general manager says they don't want to trade him. And they just adjusted Deshaun Watson's contract, so they're going to have some cap space as well.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I misspoke. It wasn't Henderson, it was Hubbard who retired.
Yeah, Hubbard retired. Trey Henderson, that's the other defensive end. So they don't have any defense.
They need 3 defense.
And that was their biggest problem.
How about this? If you're, I know it's going. If you're Cleveland,
Cincinnati,
who has what's his name? Who has Myles Garrett right now? He's at
Cleveland.
He's at Cleveland.
The Browns, yeah.
If you're Cleveland, you trade or make a move to try to get Higgins and Garrett. Make a move for
that. It's rare to go in division like that with players in their prime.
Yeah, Cleveland don't care though, man. Because
Cleveland will do it. Minnesota did it with Detroit,
right?
When they took Hawkinson. So I don't think they will though.
When you're on a small market team and you got money matters, money does matter. you make those moves.
Yeah,
because you still got to sell tickets. You can't just.
What's your thoughts about Deebo Samuel?
That was one of the best moves.
Watched it. It feels like they got a great pick play there.
Look, this is what happens when you put championship caliber ownership, right? And you get caliber championship play, right? That mindset, that culture starts at the top. Last year they did good. They were in playoff position. This year they're doing even better just by picking up one just by making one move. That's a power chess move right there, and picking up a player like Samuel, man.
29 years old, 5th round pick, $17 million. That is really good for. I don't see how that they can lose on picking up a player with the 5th round pick like that.
You know,
It's 29. I mean, he's still good. I don't think he's a long way from washed up.
that's going to improve the running game too. So
Yeah.
you know, Jay Daniels that can run the ball, Samuels can come back there run the ball, and then they got the running back who's young who can run the ball. Like these people, they're not playing. This was a good move for Washington. It's going to be the Eagles and Washington again at 1 and 2 for the NFC East, and the same old Giants and the same Dallas Cowboys. They're not making any moves that are smart. Are just going to be looking on the outside. They're going to be just looking bad, man. Looking bad.
Yeah. 51 catches, 81 targets last year.
How
But
many
he was
runs?
big in the rushing games last
Right.
year. 15 rushes, 42 yards, 42 carries, 136 yards. 15 games, 42 carries, 136 yards, a touchdown. And a lot of that was,
Even if the gimmick game, you got it. Your defense got to pay attention. And if you run a no huddle, man, forget it, bro.
I think he's a true slot. And in that system, he'll play great in that system, especially with Terry McLaurin, who's very consistent just on the opposite side.
Yeah, and if they keep McLaurin, you're gonna have two guys who
Metcalf's a little younger, Chad, and probably they came out the same year, though.
who's better. Here's a problem.
Probably Metcalf.
It's a trick question because
Remember, Metcalf's been playing under defensive-minded head coaches.
exactly, and Deebo Samuel has had I'm not
Very
gonna say,
experienced offensive-minded guy.
yeah, I'm not saying that Purdy was a great quarterback, but he was always consistent. He was more consistent than Geno Smith. Like Geno Smith would have 2 good games and 3 terrible games, and then a great game, and then another terrible game. So he was so up and down. I'm not a Seattle fan. I like football, and he made my heart hurt, bro. He made my heart broke.
So you do like I think Metcalf's better.
Yeah, it didn't break. My heart didn't break. It just hurt because you didn't.
You like Samuel or Metcalf better?
Ooh, that's what I'm saying. Like, what I would want to see how Metcalf would do with the top 5 quarterback, and
a very creative coordinator.
Yeah, and then ask me that question, Chad, because he hadn't had the opportunity yet. Deebo Samuel, once he got hurt, you saw the decline of their offensive prowess. You saw how much the San Francisco needed him just to be a part of the system. Man, it's hard right now. Like, if you ask me this in 5 years, we'll get a better answer.
Yeah, I think I know Samuel's used more, but Samuel just had a lot more weapons around him and a very creative head coach.
Yeah.
Metcalf, Pete Carroll, and this other guy this past year. And plus, he's dealing with Russell Wilson, who was past his prime, and then you're dealing with Geno Smith. Definitely would take Metcalf. He's beast, man. He can go across the middle. He can go deep.
It's even hard.
He's like a quieter version of T.O.,
The thing about Metcalf is he could play hurt. Deebo Samuels can't.
Yeah. Well, Samuel's going right into the teeth of the defense.
That's what I'm saying. But
with those running plays.
But Metcalf is such an athlete. I think he was playing with a messed up shoulder for like 3 games in a row before he took off that one game. Like, Deebo Samuel can't do that because he gets hit or they're after him because he's in the middle, like you said. But man,
I think those 2 guys came out in the same draft too. And AJ Brown.
Bro, I would love to see either of those guys on the Kansas City team or on Tampa, like on the Tampa Bay, like on a team.
Godwin's going to be available, so maybe Tampa Bay. Well, Samuel's already a commander, and I think that was.
I'm glad that he went to. I'm not glad, but it's good to see him going to a team that's going to be competitive in the next season. And
absolutely.
Because it would have been sad to see him go to a team like. And you're just like, they're not going to go anywhere. It
would suck if he went to the Raiders.
I wasn't going to mention any teams, Robert, but like, come on.
But you wouldn't you like to see a
Or if you
guy
can
like
get-
Metcalf play opposite of a Drake London in Atlanta with Penix, a young Michael Penix, if they could do something with Kirk Cousins?
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I would like to see him, and I'm not a people are like, oh, you just like Baker Mayfield. Like, no, I like that Baker Mayfield is a competitor and he'll throw the ball. I would like to see Metcalf on Tampa Bay next to
him opposite of Evans.
Whoa, bro, that'd be a fun game.
Evans, I'm looking for Evans to take a step back, you know.
No. He can still be number one. Look, man, Metcalf.
Yeah.
The opportunity.
Evans, he's a Hall of Famer in my opinion.
Bro, the opportunity to be able to throw the ball up 2 to 3 yards extra and have that wide receiver be able to make just a small leap or put your arm out. That's three. Like,
yeah, Evans will be 32 this year.
I'd love to watch that, man.
That would be nice. We'll see how that plays out. I never thought about Carolina. You know, they need a good receiver. Metcalf would be good there, but I think Metcalf is one straight Super Bowl or bust type of team.
Yeah, you know? if I'm his agent, I'm
Ravens or somebody. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Well, somebody that's in that hunt. You know?
Lamar Jackson and Metcalf, two of
Yeah.
the best athletes. Oh my Lord! And then you have Derrick Henry. God.
Well, that could potentially put them
Oh,
over
my
the
goodness.
top there. You know.
Oof, man. I would definitely sign up to watch more NFL.
Man, yeah. What are your thoughts about? I was talking about this on the program yesterday. Switch to the NBA for a second. Kyrie Irving tears his ACL. You know, you hear Nico Harrison, the general manager, talk about the Luka stuff not being dedicated with Luka Doncic, and you know, it's kind of hard to sell. I just thought about this to sell that when they got a guy like a Kyrie Irving, when they got a guy like a Clay who's past his prime. Kyrie with his behavior issues and stuff. What's the perception of Harrison right now from the fans? I mean, they got to be really just protesting like nobody's business, man.
Well, if you're a Mavs fan now, you're just disillusioned. Just like what? Why just, you know, because the thing is that you want to bring people in and you want them to be optimistic, you know, and they don't have that team that makes them feel optimistic about supporting them even right now that they're in the middle of a run to you know, and that run feels like it's going to get stopped because you got your number one point guard just lost for the season with the terror. So and it's not for nothing, but all these guys who have had issues in the past and they talk and are in the media or they don't talk to the media, like Kyrie is a baller. Like there's nobody who would question the fact that he can't put the ball in the basket and he's a guy that can carry a team. I don't think that's ever going to be questioned about him. And the fact that you take out a number one guy and he's a number two guy because you know he's doing the assists and he's running the play, and you don't got a Luka on your team or you don't have that 2 and 3 player anymore, and then the one player that you did pick up was a center, a number 5, and he's supposed to be one of the best centers in the NBA, but he's injured. He only played 2 games or something like that. And
he played 1 game and he had a great game and he got hurt at the very end.
Yeah, so it's
hamstring and been out for weeks.
So you're just like, why are you saying, or why would you even mention that the ticket prices are going to go up? Don't say nothing.
Well, for 40%, ticket sales have went down 40% since Luka was traded.
Yeah, but why when that was going to happen, then you find out that the ticket sales were going to go up? Like the fact that even got leaked or that.
I didn't know that the ticket sales were supposed to go up. Really?
Yeah, they're about to raise the prices. So that's
raise the ticket prices. Excuse me.
That's one of those things that people were just like, what the, you know? So I think it's business going on with bad fan.
Does Harrison survive this?
No, not at all. But the problem is it's new ownership in Dallas, right? So, the fans.
Well, this is the ownership that brought him in. I'm sure Cuban would have fired him. Well, he never let him do it. Cuban would have never let him do it.
Be forgiving of the team, but they're not going to be forgiving of Nico because that's the guy who let everything drop. So,
yeah,
he's done.
What have you done lately? I mean, last year they're in the finals.
Yeah, this year
they look like I think I picked them to win this year, and you do this move, man. And the more I see the freaking LA Lakers get better and better and better, and quite frankly, he didn't really test the temperature of the team and the history because the Laker fans hate the Dallas hates the Lakers. Why would you trade them to a rival like that?
Here's the thing, and the reality is money. Like I said,
the more you think about it, the more it's just disgusting trade.
Yeah, but again, you know what you're going to get with Luka. You saw that he needed more support. You saw that when he wasn't missing, when he wasn't on the team, someone like Robinson, like who took over, Brunson. I mean, he took over and made Dallas as competitive without Luka. Like, so you're seeing different things here. If you're your GM and your coach, you're like, okay, so we could move Luka if it's a money situation, and they did, and they tried to get something back for him. It backfired because the pieces that they got back.
Yeah, but he wasn't even due up in a contract until summer of 26. They could have. This is my thing. Last night they could have gave him an ultimatum over the summer and said, "This is it for you." And now maybe they did that last year, but why not even try another year instead of giving them away to Luke?
Because first of all,
it feels knee jerk, man.
Yeah, but this is, mind you, this is business, Robert. So his agent was already talking about he got to get more than Tatum, and the Mavs are like, wait a minute, he hasn't done more than Tatum, though.
That's true. Tatum got a ring.
You can't pay him
Tatum's
Tatum
available
money.
more.
Right, you can't pay him Tatum money if he hasn't done what Tatum's been able to accomplish. In fact, when we needed you, you got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we can't. On paper, I like him on the court, bro. I like what he does. He's nice.
Yeah.
We sat here and we talked about him.
See, what's their plan at? I mean, I like PJ Washington. Can you sell that to the fan base that you're going to build around a young PJ Washington? And Derek Lively? That's all. That's your young pieces.
Okay, but you have to understand too that we mentioned this before. He's been playing professionally since he was 16.
So he's not as young as a normal 25-year-old.
As his age reflects, there's too much tread on him. So you can move him and you can say, okay, let's try to see what we can do and salvage, for being in a small market, salvage the team, right? That's one of the reasons.
They're pretty good size now, though, Dallas.
I think they're hurting.
I think Cuban, he really regrets doing this deal, I think.
I think because of the dynamic of him and his team and being a basketball head and all that. I feel like this is, I don't take all my word, but I feel like this is something that the Phoenix Suns have gone through, the Utah Jazz have gone through. Like, they've had a playoff team ready, one or two players missing that could just take you to the top, and then all of a sudden you got to get rid of that other guy because you're a small market team and you can't afford to be paying everybody. That's what happens.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Well, I don't know if they're considered a small market in Dallas.
Dallas is.
I mean, it's not LA or New York, but it's pretty big, though.
Yeah, but they don't. It's still like the reason that you make big money in Dallas is because there's no taxes. But if you look at the pay grade compared to Miami, California, Miami, the city of Miami, Los Angeles, and New York, there's a difference. There's a discrepancy for sure.
Okay, well, yeah, I got a feeling that they.
Well, you want to know what Dallas is going to do.
I think they made a mistake there, man, and it's if you couldn't find a trade partner, why not wait it out another year? I mean, so it does come down. They didn't want to pay that. You're saying they just didn't want to pay that $75 million per.
Yeah, then they're
Yeah,
cool.
Supermax.
Right. Nobody
Yeah.
wants them.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Lakers.
It's not basketball; it's money.
Right.
And that was never an issue with Mark Cuban.
Right.
Never.
And then and look, the Lakers need somebody to replace LeBron eventually. So what they did was for them.
Yeah, but Cuban tried to stop him, Chad, and he couldn't. He tried to stop Nico Harrison. I think he gave up. I think he gave up enough where he can't do nothing.
Yeah.
From what I've read.
Yeah, he only has stock options. He doesn't have team.
Yeah.
So
he regrets it. I think he's trying to do something with some casinos. I don't know what he could be working on, something we don't know about yet.
Yeah,
People
mention that he might run for office. Like this.
Well, I mean, he could be doing that.
There's a lot of
trying to get some money situated, but I can tell that really because he hates the Lakers. Remember, he once called Phil Jackson Jenny Buss's boy toy, and Phil Jackson like 61 years old. You're calling me a boy? I mean, this beef goes back 20 years. He bought this team in 2000 on 98, right? 98, 2000. His first guy was Dirk.
Yeah.
First big player with Dirk Nowitzki, and then of course you had Luka. But I mean, basketball-wise, it looks like the Lakers got another gift-wrapped great player. But I thought it was a blessing in disguise. Luka, those were serious concerns about him. He was coming in out of shape. We saw the video of the guy taking the beer from him. He was getting hurt every single year, it seems like. And you just, it's kind of like Shaq. You know he's a super talent, get away with a lot. But you're tired of him coming in out of shape every year and have to play his way in shape every year.
Yeah,
but he's not 7 foot like Shaq was.
Right, and even the Lakers had enough money to build and get people to support Shaq's deal, right? Because they had Kobe already. They knew he was the team.
Oh yeah, Jerry West says we'll pay it.
Yeah, and then they got different players that were a little bit past the prime. They got Ron Artest. They ended up getting guys like Paul Gasol and a good deal from Memphis. Like they always had the Lakers will always have the upper hand on any team. So don't be upset about that. Yeah, you could be upset that they made the deal with the Mavs to get Luka, but don't be upset because they if not Luka, they would have got somebody else.
They always find a way. They always have these deals fall in their lap.
I'll tell you, if they didn't get him, they would have got what's this guy from Arizona from the Suns, Booker.
Okay.
They would have got somebody. Yeah. They're not gonna not have superstars in LA on the Lakers. It's not gonna happen. So.
Yeah, that's true. It's all of our life. It's been that way. What do you think about Jimmy Johnson retiring from broadcasting? Essentially, he's done at Fox. Made the announcement the other day.
I think the football world that is our demographic, maybe a little bit older, is going to miss him.
Yeah.
They saw him win championships. They know that he knows football. They know what kind of. I mean, this is a guy who made the first mega deal in football. Ended up trading
Herschel Walker
for. For
a flood of picks. One of them turned out to be Emmitt Smith.
Championship teams, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, he was a big part of football. It's a good thing that he's in the Hall of Fame.
3 Hall of Fames, college, pro, and 30 years of broadcasting.
Yeah. So this is just a legendary persona, and but I think with everything that he's accomplished and he's left behind, and we were able to enjoy it. People a little bit older than us, that was good. Those are good times, right? Miami Hurricane football, stuff like that. Like, so, but I think it's hard to say this, but it's always good to get young blood in and get them going. There's a lot of ex-football players that are now going to have an opportunity to be part of broadcasting teams, and I think they should be able to share their knowledge of what the game has become or what is becoming of the game. So. It's vital and important to the lifeline of NFL broadcasting. Like, we sit here, we talked about. I think
Bradshaw's retiring too, by the way.
Yeah, we talked about guys like Madden and even sometimes it's like, okay, when is Al Michaels going to say goodbye? Because he sounds bitter that
he's getting older.
No, it's not.
He's a little annoyed about Amazon.
Yeah, I think
he's a lot of money, but he's not having fun.
I think the game's not as fun as it used to be for him.
Yeah.
Players are different. It's just a different era, different type of game, and he knows a lot about the game. I mean, he was side by side with a guy like John Madden. I'm sure Madden taught him a lot of stuff, and it's hard. It's a hard watch sometimes on Prime to hear Al Michaels be upset about why the game isn't better. He kind of sounds like me. I'm like, come on, man, just play some better football, right? Like, but it just it's what it is, and good for Jimmy Johnson, man.
I would have had a lot more respect for him if he came on the program. I've told you about that before. I've had Jim Jeffcoat on, and Jim had his contact. I read his book, want to interview him on his book, and he's too good for podcast. And I told this story yesterday. He was a first-generation college student himself, Jimmy Johnson. He talked about being slighted by then Barry Switzer, when Barry Switzer used to coach at Oklahoma. When he was a coach at Oklahoma State, Barry Switzer, when they beat Oklahoma in that game, would not shake his hand because he was on the phone with recruits. So he felt slighted by that. Of course, he goes on to be a better, but why would he do me like that and not respond to an email by one of his better players that win those 2 Super Bowls? That kind of ticked me off about it. But yeah, he's a great motivator. He's the kind of coach I would want to play for. He's a truth guy, but he's a fair guy. And, he reinvigorated, I guess you can use the word, the saying that Vince Lombardi says, fatigue would make cowards of us all. That was one of his speeches. Like, other words, when you're preparing in the offseason, be in the better shape than the guy in front of you, because fatigue would make cowards of us all. He got that from Vince Lombardi. But he had a good book, man. He's going to be pretty he'll be well missed, but there's some new guys in there. I think Collinsworth is really good. I think Troy Aikman, who played with him, is one of the better guys to listen to in an NFL game. There'll be somebody else, a former coach, that'll rise up and be maybe close to like a John Madden or something, or it just remains to be seen. It's not Saban. Saban's a little angry out there, lets a lot of S-bombs and cursing a lot on there, but somebody else will come about it. Maybe it's Andy Reid. I don't know. Maybe he retires after next year.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are a little bit older. I'm thinking more about players that have gotten out in the last 5 to 10 years, and there's a few guys here that will have the opportunity. Even guys like Tom Brady, and making room for people to move up and move around is crucial. The game, like I told you, and even Tom Brady said it. He said it after I said it, but whatever. He said the last 8 to 10 seasons hasn't been as, the football hasn't been as competitive.
The quality of the game. I'm just talking about from a broadcasting perspective.
Yeah. But no, I'm just saying that. But that's part of it, too. So the presentation is part of it, and and it's tough. Like even John Madden bringing in different sound effects, him doing his thing, it made it
was fun.
It made it fun to watch.
Summerall probably the best ever to do it. The
I
best.
Feel like I miss when the guys go over like the teleprompter like Madden used to do.
You mean right on the screen?
Yeah, they're right on the screen and on the prompters and stuff. They're not. Madden would be like, well, you should. Madden was all in it, like he was talking to us, like we were going to go on the field and do it.
Yeah.
Some of these guys are just like, yeah, this is what we're taught. You do the hook and ladder, and then you wait 2 seconds and look at your quarterback.
Yeah, Madden would never talk over your head.
Right.
Keep it very simple. He always kind of a guy that hangs around, then boom, pop, left tackle. Then he'll talk about the lineman on Thanksgiving. He said, yeah, feed this man. It shows like one of the Dallas Cowboys left tackles eating like a giant turkey leg that's huge, Yeah. But, there's only one John Madden. He was the best. There's supposed to be a movie coming out where Nicolas Cage is playing John Madden. I don't know if you heard about that.
Really?
They've been working on that. It's supposed to be out in the next year or so. Any thoughts about Bill Belichick pulling out. First, he was saying he's going to do it with Hard Knocks in North Carolina. Then he says, "No, I don't think so. I think he's going back to his covert ways. He don't want to let any secrets out."
Look, I don't want to sound petty.
Although it's still good for recruiting, though, right?
Yeah, I don't want to sound negative, but UNC football. Do you think that being exciting football?
Yeah, I would.
Come on, man. Name 5 players in the NFL that came out of UNC that are really good.
5? No, but that's a fact that you got Belichick there.
You know,
Well,
like
I could give you one off the top of my head.
he knew this one thing, that if they would have went in there for Hard Knocks of college football, whatever you want to recall it, rename it, whatever, it would have been about him, and he can't have it about him, especially in college. It has to be about football.
Yeah, but the Michigan one was very good with Jim Harbaugh. That was All or Nothing. I don't know if you've seen the Amazon series back in 2018. It was really good, man.
Yeah, but that was a championship team.
I mean, Drake May went to North Carolina. Julius Peppers went to North Carolina. He's a Hall of Famer. You know,
Julius Peppers probably like the biggest.
I mean, this is
team.
not Ohio State or
That's the thing.
You know,
so it's not Ohio State. It's not Michigan.
This is a legendary coach coming to the college ranks.
Yeah, but
and you know,
like this, it was the same thing when you watch Jackson.
It was a bad move.
When you
see Peppers, Chad said Peppers before.
Yeah, everybody knows Peppers, but I said 5, and you guys called maybe 2, and you said Drake May.
Josh Downs is a pretty good wide receiver. That's 3. You know, right off the top of my head.
How many MVP Super Bowl winning championships?
Oh, you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not a football factory, man. Everybody knows it's a basketball school, and to this day,
it would be better if it was Alabama or somebody. But
so
it would have been good for Michael Jordan went to North Carolina. I mean, even though it's football,
I wouldn't mind
the Jordan brand.
Right, I wouldn't mind if they went on the back end and Netflix or Amazon recorded their season and played it afterwards, but not during the season.
So you don't think that would have been a good Hard Knocks?
No, not at all. Like just like you're talking about some of these shows that recorded the Michigan team and stuff, like it was okay.
You don't like those behind the scenes documentaries?
No, I like them. Even the one that Notre Dame has one on Peacock. I don't know if you've watched it. It's
not
okay.
That one.
It's okay.
The Michigan one was good. Who has it better than us? Nobody.
Right, that's a Power 5 football team that's got like top 5 5-star recruits in every position, at least 2 down, 2 to 3. You know what I'm saying? UNC don't have that.
Yeah,
and
I would have did it.
No matter who the coach is. You know,
so you're okay with Saban not, or you're okay. I'm just saying. My question was it a bad move for Belichick not to do it?
I think Belichick was cognizant of like the situation he's in, and I'm glad that he was like, you know what, I want this to be more.
I wanted to see that, Chad. I wanted to see him getting on those kids' rear ends and that kind of development.
I don't know if he would do that. I don't know if he could bring that edge.
He wouldn't be over the top with it, but his son's a defensive coordinator and his other son's that would have been good storylines, man. Working with his son.
Yeah, I mean,
they would have asked him about it, but they're going to do something else, is what I read. I think they may do that All or Nothing if they're still doing that on Amazon.
There'll be a lot of editing, man, to be honest with you. And I don't think he wants that either. Like I've seen the Notre Dame one, and I'm like, okay, their football season.
I haven't seen. I don't got Peacock. I'm tired of ordering these streaming services.
Well, if you get a chance, the Notre Dame one is not too bad, but I feel some of these shows that have these teams during the season, it feels like the way they edit it. It feels like it's the spring practice that they're playing.
Yeah,
you know, because it's got to be edited for TV anyway, so they take out a lot of stuff. So,
well, they have an in-season Hard Knocks. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be with the AFC North. My favorite Hard Knocks was the Giants in the offseason with the front office. That was dramatic. I love that. Building the team up. They should focus on that more. But nobody wanted to do it, man.
You know, because everybody saw what the Giants are going through. Like, everybody's like, come on.
Yeah, but that's great for fans. I mean, I love that. That was the best one.
There's not one New York fan that was happy with that.
Oh, because you lost Barkley, yeah. Well, all right. You got anything you need to plug, man? We're about to be over there.
The other day, I dropped on on Facebook, and I posted some of
Baseball
the
stuff?
baseball stuff, and I got the Yankees coming out for the next week. Baseball season is pretty much here. In the next 10 days, they're going to be 15 days. They're going to be getting into battle. And
I think the first game is like the 27th. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's coming up. March Madness is.
I can't wait for that.
We doing a show? Look up you. What I tell you about St. John's? Come on, guy. Let's do a pregame.
I hope they don't go out early and let us all down.
Patino has this record that he doesn't usually go out until the third round.
Man,
P16 if he goes out.
Yeah, if I didn't have so many restrictions on me having to work so much, I would like to get Keith Engel back on.
Let's have to do a college.
We'll talk. We may have to do the show the Wednesday instead of the Thursday to get your predictions on the Final Four. The Wednesday before the Thursday tip-off game. So next week you've got SEC, which is here in Nashville, by the way. I'll be driving a lot of Uber next week.
Yeah, hey, listen.
And the week after that, we have the big tournament.
Let's do a Sunday show, bracket Sunday. Let's see.
I never thought about that, and not even just skip the Thursday one, replay it.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
No, because that we would have to do it after the. Well, maybe I'll think about it. We could record one.
Yeah, we
at
could
7 o'clock after selection. So, but then I like to study it for a few days.
Study what?
Maybe do it Wednesday.
Listen, now I'm all game. We're gonna put out some brackets.
Of course we're gonna do the draft show too.
March Madness.
Hopefully you can do the draft show coming up next in April too.
No, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, that'll be nice. That'll be nice, son. I'm trying to get that New York accent back. I've been watching old Soprano episodes.
You sounding more and more like a Nashvilleian every day, bro.
Hey, man, come on, but listen to Tony Soprano.
Bada
bing, bada boom.
You used to do that, and I was like, "You from New York?" Because you'd be like, you know Carlos, and I'm like, "This guy, where are you from?"
I've been working on it just to F with you, man. All right, Mad New Yorker, everybody. All right, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one. And I'll see you all next week here on the Real Sports Scope. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you, chat.